The average 401k balance in the United States is $144,400. That number appears in quarterly reports and retirement planning dashboards and financial news headlines. It is presented as a benchmark, a signal that the system is working, that people who contribute year after year are building something. The average annual household expenditure in the United States is $77,280, which means that $144,400, the product of decades of contributions, employer matches, and compound growth, covers less than 2 years of living. Not 2 years of luxury, not 2 years of travel, 2 years of existing at the same level the person maintained while they were still earning a paycheck. After that, the account is empty. And the Social Security Trust Fund that was supposed to cover the rest is projected to be insolvent by 2033, triggering an automatic 23% cut in benefits for the 74 million Americans who depend on it. The person who contributed for 30 years did nothing wrong. They enrolled, they contributed, they got the match. And the account that was supposed to protect them was quietly paying someone else first. 58% of American workers say their retirement savings are behind where they need to be. 45% are not saving enough. 1 in 5 Americans over 50 has no retirement savings at all. And 43% of current retirees say they would rather die than outlive their money. That statistic is not rhetorical. It comes from a 2025 survey of people who already retired. People who did the planning, made the contributions, and arrived at the other end of the promise. The 401k occupies a unique psychological position. It is the only financial product most people interact with through inaction. Enrollment is often automatic. Contributions are deducted before the paycheck arrives. Fund selection defaults to a target date option chosen by the employer. And once the system is running, almost no one revisits it, because the entire architecture is designed to reward passivity. This is status quo bias operating at industrial scale. The behavioral tendency to leave things as they are, not because the current arrangement is optimal, but because changing it requires effort the brain is not motivated to exert. In most financial decisions, there's a moment of friction, a price tag, a signature, a negotiation. The 401k eliminated all of them. And in that elimination, it also removed the moments where a person might stop and ask what the product is actually costing them. The answer, in most cases, is between 0.5% and 2% of total assets every year. That's the fee paid not to the employee, not to the market, but to the plan administrator, the fund manager, the record keeper. It is deducted automatically. It does not appear as a line item on a paycheck. And until 2012, plan providers were not even required to disclose it. In 2011, 70% of 401k participants believe they paid no fees at all. The brain processes this fee the way it processes all small recurring costs, through a mechanism called present bias. A 1% annual fee on a $50,000 balance is $500. It feels trivial. It feels like a rounding error. But compound interest does not round. It's like a slow leak in a pipe behind a wall. A few drops a day, no puddle on the floor, no sound at night. After 30 years, the foundation is damaged, and the repair costs more than the house earned in equity. Over 35 years, the Department of Labor calculates that a 1% difference in fees reduces the final balance by 28%. On $100,000 invested at 7% gross return over 30 years, a plan charging 0.5% produces $574,000. A plan charging 1.5% produces $432,000. The difference, $142,000, was never stolen, never hidden, never even noticed. It was deducted 0.1% at a time from a balance the owner checked twice a year at most. The employer match is the most effective anchoring device in personal finance. It feels like free money. In many cases, it is the primary reason people enroll. But the match comes with a condition that is rarely examined. The employee must invest within the plan the employer selected. And the employer selected the plan not as a fiduciary acting in the employee's best interest, but as an administrator meeting a standard of reasonableness. The funds inside most 401k plans are not the cheapest available. They are the ones the plan provider offered, often with revenue-sharing arrangements that compensate the administrator. The employee gets the match, 3%, maybe 6%, and in exchange, every dollar they contribute, including the match, is invested in funds carrying expense ratios the employee did not choose, did not compare, and in most cases cannot identify without reading a document they have never opened. But the 401k is only half the architecture. The other half is Social Security, and its structural integrity is no longer assumed. The 2025 Trustees Report projects that the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be depleted by 2033. Not reduced, depleted. At that point, benefits will be cut automatically by an estimated 23%. For a typical retired couple, that translates to roughly $18,000 less per year. 58% of retirees identify Social Security as their primary income source. For them, a 23% reduction is not an adjustment. It is a crisis delivered on a schedule that is already public. The 401k was designed as a supplement, a tax-advantaged vehicle to sit alongside a pension and Social Security. The pension disappeared decades ago. Social Security has an expiration date printed on a government report, and the supplement became the entire plan, with fees that benefit the provider, defaults that reward inaction, and balances that cover less than 2 years of the life they were built to sustain. 2 people, same company, same salary, same contribution rate, $1,000 a month total including the employer match, deposited every month for 30 years. Person A's plan charges an all-in fee of 0.5%. Person B's charges 1.5%. Both assume a 7% gross annual return. Neither person chose their plan's fee structure. Neither person has ever checked it. After 30 years, Person A's account holds $1,112,000. Person B's holds $918,000. The gap? $194,000. Same contributions, same market, same decades of discipline. The only difference was a number buried in a disclosure document that neither of them read. At a 4% withdrawal rate, the standard guideline for sustainable retirement income, Person A can draw $3,700 per month. Person B can draw $3,059. The difference is $648 a month, every month, for the rest of their lives. Now place that number next to the rest of the picture. The median 401k balance for baby boomers, the generation currently in or approaching retirement, is $249,000. For Gen X, the generation next in line, 52% have saved 3 times their annual income or less. For millennials, the median is $67,300. For Gen Z, $13,500. Each generation is further from the target, and fewer than 1 in 10 Americans have reached it. 80% of households with older adults are already in financial difficulty or at risk. That's 47 million households documented by the National Council on Aging, describing people who did what the system asked. The 401k was never a retirement plan. It was a provision in the Revenue Act of 1978, originally designed for executives deferring bonuses. It became the default retirement vehicle not because it was the best option for workers, but because it was the cheapest option for employers. The product didn't evolve to serve the saver. The saver was handed a product that was never designed for them. If the balance has been growing for years and the expense ratio has never been checked, if the fund selection was made once or never made at all, if the quarterly statement produces a number that feels like progress without ever being measured against what retirement actually costs, then the product is already working. Not for the saver, for the provider. The account was real, the contributions were real, the match was real, but the fees were also real. compounding in the opposite direction year after year, deducted from growth the saver never saw and never missed. A fraction of a percent repeated across decades, producing a gap that only becomes visible when it is too late to close. The person who contributed for 30 years and arrived at $144,400 didn't fail to save. They saved into a system that was designed to be used, not understood. A system where the default was profitable, the friction was removed, and the cost was invisible until the money ran out. They were told the account would protect them, and it did. Just not them first. Some protections aren't failures. They're products, sold as safety, priced as profit. This is Costly Choices.